Alrighty, so I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Senator Ezel, could you open us up with prayer?
Everyone, please close their eyes and bow their heads. Glorious and blessed God, we place our work and ourselves into your hands. Anoint our creativity, our ideas, our energy, so that even the smallest task may bring you honor. God, when we are challenged, guide us when we are weary. Amen.
Amen. Next, we're going to take quorum. So please, when you hear your name, say here. Senator McDaniel,
Here.
Senator Carthen,
Here.
Senator Simmons,
Here.
Senator Murphy, Senator Ezel,
Here.
Senator Jarvis,
Here.
Senator Broussard,
Here.
Senator Jackson, Senator Stelly,
Here.
Senator Spears,
Here.
Senator Rouge. Okay. Can I have a? Ooh, 1 second. I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry, one of the senators is having trouble getting in, so I was trying to let them know. Okay. So can I have a motion to approve last meeting minutes?
I, Senator Ezel, move to approve last meeting's minutes.
So move.
Okay. And then can I also have a motion to approve today's agenda?
I, Senator Stelly, approve today's agenda.
So moved.
Okay. And then on today's agenda, we have budget and legislation as our main discussions for today. So to start off, can I have a motion to open the floor for discussion? I mean, for budgets, I'm sorry.
I, Senator Simmons, open the floor to discuss budgets.
So moved.
Okay, sounds good. First on the budget list today, we have presidential allocation. President Ucott is here to present this to us. I have made you a co-host and you should be able to share your screen so that you can present the budget.
All right,
Wow,
good
who's
evening, everybody.
that cute?
You are hilarious. How are y'all doing? Hope y'all are all doing well. I'm here to present our 2021 spring budget. Yes. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First things first, of course, we got to continue to elevate. So as we're continuing, we're going to look at how to structure things better so it's easier to follow and present it in a way that's easy to comprehend, but also that reflects the image we're carrying as Student Government Association. All right. So here's our proposed presidential budget for this year. Of course, the biggest thing I've noticed is there needs to be an understanding of the structure of SGA as we move forward, so you understand exactly how allocation works and why the certain places are being allocated money. So on our executive side, we have, of course, the executive board, and then we have a presidential cabinet, as well as different positions, so you understand who reports to who and what they do. We also have our Department of Communications and our directors that report up to our Chief Communications Officer, who is Brianna Burton. So into the budget. All right. This year, we received an allocation from the university of $378,030, which means enrollment went down just a tad bit. From last semester, we had about 402, I believe, that was allocated. That was the total funded. Now, once you start looking at the different class councils, you'll see the total number here. Now, since it's the spring, this budget looks very different from the fall. If you look, there's an enrollment-based allocation, and then you see the rollover. So what I've done this year is incorporate, which we haven't done before for some reason, I don't know. I'm incorporating the rollover amount into the total amount that's appropriated for the semester so that it can be properly allocated, but also so that the different class presidents and for me, the different department heads know how much money they have to spend and how it's been reallocated. All right, so this amount right here, 8,575 is how much has been allocated to the freshman class council. Same thing for sophomore, juniors, seniors, and the College of Pharmacy. All right. So this is the non-controllable expenses right here. This is what automatically comes out. But right here is where we go get into controllable expenses. And we have an allocation of $266,949.85. That's down from $287,032 from last semester. The interorganizational council is receiving $40,042.48. And from that, though, we do have a rollover, right? And so the rollover amount is $20,000. So total they're receiving is $60,391.07. From that, though, looking at the original amount, right, which is up here, which is their allocation, then we incorporate our 2/3 rule for the IOC and our 1/3 rule for Max. So total Max is receiving $13,347.49. That includes their Senate approved advance. Remember when they came and they petitioned the Senate and we gave them their money. That comes out of their total amount. That's not added on. That also includes their rollover amount as well. And so they're receiving $13,000. And when it comes to IOC orgs, the active student organizations, if you total up their rollover as well, they're receiving $47,000 this semester. So for XAB, of course, I allocated much more last semester, but again, we need to look at rollover, right? And make sure we're not allocating exorbitantly. So being that they already had $31,200 remaining from last semester, I thought it would be nice to give them just a tad bit of a bump and give them $25,000 flat in addition to allocate $56,200.40 to them. All right, now for Springfest, I'm keeping it at 100 grand flat. This is it's less days, but being that it's less restrictive, thankfully the numbers are going down. I have charged Mr. and Ms. Xavier to incorporate in-person programming of some sort. We need to bring it back in whatever capacity we can. But also that's kind of our net to make sure they don't overspend and they don't have to come and petition the Senate again. That should be more than enough money to get A-list or A- list artists to come for Springfest. That will also include any clothing for the royal court or anything of that such. We don't want it to be that the royal court has to pay anymore, for their positions. Now that said, this number right here, $101,907.37, that's how much is allocated to the SGA operating budget from this amount, right? So that's our initial allocation right here, But we also have to incorporate our rollover. Our rollover was $52,000, right? $42.78. So total for the operating budget is sitting at $153,950.15 for the semester. Now I restructured, the way that I do the operating budget. Let me see if I can show you real quick, just so you can understand. Final. Okay. I want to show the fall budget so you can see what the difference is in case you might have any questions. Give me just 1 second. Oh, my iPad wants to be slow. Okay, there we go. So last semester, when I did the first restructure of the budget and I was trying to figure out, how expenses should be, because our initial, when I first came in, the budget was not holistic. I had a lot of different funds, right? If we come all the way down here, we had the Student Body Programming Fund, we had the Executive Departmental Support Fund, the External Organization Support Fund, the Office Administrative Fund, of course, staff stipends, and it was just a lot of different funds. So what we did instead, I looked at different universities and what they did. It took a lot of research to figure out what best fit us. So we broke it down into three branches: the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. And each branch, except the executive branch, the legislative branch and the judicial branch each have two different major funding line items. That would be, if you see here, legislative or judicial projects and legislative branch administration, or if you see here, judicial branch projects, election board projects, and judicial branch administration. If you come up to the executive branch, we have a bit more. We have executive programming, executive projects, executive branch administration, and then we also have the discretionary fund. Now, what this allows us to do is budget appropriately for each branch. So it's not just me assuming, but then I can liaise with our other branch leaders to make sure each branch is cared for in terms of funding. So projects and programming are both different. Projects are pretty much any special projects and initiatives we have. Programming is a regular executive programming that the executive board puts on. All right, so let's go ahead and look into it. So we have 148,315 cents to allocate. I'm allocating 21,600 to executive programming to cover our student body meetings, our men's summit, Band Aids with SGA, our Gold Ball, Exit Girls Rock, and any additional special programming that we have, which this would be our contingency fund right here. If we move on to the executive projects, this really encompasses cabinet, right? The office of the SGA president. We have a lot that we do in there. So that includes all my academic, diversity, health and wellness, and sustainability initiatives as well. The DOC, they have their own initiatives as well. I think they want to do a lupus awareness month. And what I'm trying to do is make this more of a permanent thing so we don't have to continually change the budget too much. So if you see public safety, they normally do have initiatives, but it's at $0 because they don't need funding this semester. This right here, Office of the SGA. So we have a congressional candidates forum that we're working with the Office of Student Affairs on. You might have heard something about that. We're allocating $6,000 to cover the production cost, which is only 60% of the production cost, but we're covering part of that, so we're allocating $6,000 to that. We also have our annual end of year bash with XAB. We're putting in $15,000 for that. And of course, we don't plan to overspend or to spend the max amount, but it'll cover it. For any additional special projects and initiatives, we're putting in $30,000. Right now, we're looking at this right here. The reason why it's so big is because we're looking at possibly, I'm still in the conceptual phase, but I'll come back and speak to the Senate about that. And I'm sure Vice President Mayweather is aware. We're looking at possibly purchasing a shuttle in SGA's name that would be wrapped in SGA. If you see the other shuttles we have, this would be something that we bring to campus, not just to increase the transportation fleet, but we're looking at the possibility of starting back up Zuber. So if anybody remembers Zuber from my freshman year, that's 2018, that was kind of like a shuttle that was student run. So students were able to get paid to drive at night and do late night shuttles up and down Carrollton. We're hungry and not everybody has food. So you were able to go up and down Carrollton for free on the shuttle and, get, fast food or go to the grocery store. And so this is a pretty unique arrangement, being that we do lose all of our money, right? The money goes back into the university. We don't get a rollover. And every year we lose money, right? Because we don't spend everything. So we're looking at how can we best invest this money in something that'll permanently help the students. And having the shuttle or Zuber come back would be great. So we're looking at how that will work. And we want to make sure we allocate accordingly in case we do move forward in that way. But that'll allow students to get paid. And also we wouldn't have to pay. So it's pretty cool. Executive branch administration would be $60,800. It's much more than last year just because, again, we're putting things into different categories finally. So it's very big categories, but we're putting things in there. So the incoming executive board apparel, we're putting money into that. The visual media team equipment, they've already purchased it. So we want to make sure that we have an actual line item for that. Our office improvement project is going on pretty well. We have 35,000 for that. And the staff stipends are here as well. All right. And what I did to make sure that we didn't take from any other funding source above the operating budget is I put the amount here, and whatever increase in any of the categories came out of my discretionary fund. So it continually went lower and lower so that we're not taking away from any other student organizations. The legislative branch now has $3,800. $1,500 would go into committee programming, and then an additional $2,300 would go into Senate Church, a food allowance for your meetings, and end of year gifts. The judicial branch also has a total of $1,800 to use on judicial council projects and administration. The thing about this is these big ones here are Senate controlled. So these different branches, like that's Senate controlled, where it's locked in. I can move money from executive programming into executive projects, but I cannot take money from any other category or any of the other branches. I'd have to petition the Senate. So that's also another reason we wanted to do this, is to make sure we're being more financially responsible. And that gives the Senate more oversight. So I can move funding, but I have to keep it within my branch. If for some reason we overspend, I'd have to come back and petition the Senate and have a reasoning for it. All right, and that's it for me. Any questions?
I don't have a question about the budget, but when are the dates for Springfest?
Yes, so the dates for Spring Fest are being finalized, but I know it's going to happen in, I think we do have the dates, but I want to confirm with Ms. Godfrey. Let me actually check on that real quick. Any other questions while I'm looking?
So you said that the Springfest budget did include like the concert, any events within, and like the Royal Court outfits and stuff like that?
Yes, I don't want us to have the same situation as last semester. So yeah, everything is inclusive. It's a big budget. I think it's only 3 or 4 days. It's like a Thursday to a Saturday or Sunday, or a Friday to a Sunday. It's not a week long thing. So 100 grand, that should cover everything we need to cover. But at least it doesn't limit the students from cool programming, you know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Springfest is March the 25th through the 28th.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And you know, while I'm here, the office improvement project is going pretty well. Mr. Wright has been a really big help in that. We've been able to, repaint the office and the resource room. We're currently getting new furniture in the resource room right now. The timing couldn't be better, right? Because with COVID, we couldn't really be too much in different spaces. So we're hoping that by the beginning of next year, everything will be in place. I just got an update right now on the furniture. So I'm really excited, and hopefully when the senators come around, you have a space that's representative of the hard work y'all do.
Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, if not, I'm going to create a breakout room so that we can discuss. Thank you, President Ucott. Oh Lord Jesus, not y'all see the stuff. Oops. Thank you, President Ucott, for coming. And you can stay because I know you're presenting a bill as well. We're going to move on. We next have the Commuter Student Network. Is Kirsten Green here?
No, I'm here. Malia Batiste.
Okay. Malia, would you like to share your screen or do you want me to just pull the budget up
Either way, it doesn't
as
matter.
far
I
as?
can share.
Okay. I mean, I have it right here just in case.
Okay.
Okay. There we go. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. So we are requesting $3,000. This is a little less than what we requested last semester because we decided to make most of our events virtual because of the order. As you can see, most of our money goes to food or card giveaways for our events. So for our general body meetings, we give away food at each event after the online meeting. Then we had a couple events where we did giveaways like 25 Visa gift cards or Buffalo Wild. Sorry, I'm at work, y'all. $25 Visa gift cards, stuff like that. For our community service, we had to buy like cards, markers, envelopes to give the cards to the elderly. For the rest of our events, we did like goodie bags. So that was candy, snacks, more card stock for the cars. The movie nights were refreshments, beignets and beads, more food, more just giveaways like that. And then our last thing was a chicken and waffles breakfast. So if you guys need me to explain anything further, I can.
Okay, so I see on like giveaways and community service, um the dates are, dates that already passed. So how did you have programming without a budget at that point? Like
So
how
our
did
advisor, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
you
our advisor used the budget from CSI, but it's not like she just gave us the money. She expects it back.
thank you.
No problem.
Are there any other questions?
I don't have a question, but like I want to salute them because like we like with the budgets and stuff, they always are having an event, so I know like that the money is actually going towards something because I always see them having an event. So just want to salute y'all.
Thank you.
I have one question. Do y'all usually get like a good turnout for you guys' events?
Yeah, so compared to last semester, I would say it's lower because most people are online. But for our most recent meeting, we had at least like 50 people. I think because we were giving out food and shirts. But yeah, we normally get a good turnout.
Thank you.
And are your events only for commuter students or are you open to the public as well?
They're open to the public. Like we never deny anybody any food, but it's encouraged for community students so they have the same experience as other students.
Oh, any other questions or concerns? No? Okay, we're gonna go into the breakout room for a second. Thank you, Malia, so much.
Thank y'all.
Alrighty, thank you, Malia. You will receive an email between today and Friday, probably actually before then, because I don't have anything urgent for pharmacy school. So yeah, you'll probably receive the email probably tonight or tomorrow of the approval or denial or adjustments of your budget.
Okay, thank y'all so much. Have a great day.
I think you're mute.
Oh, y'all been over here talking. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Uh, okay. Well, okay, let me go back then. So, is anyone from, it wasn't that, it was from Ordinary People. Is there anyone here from Ordinary People to present their budget? I know they were here earlier. Okay.
Hold on, that's my friend. She says she's having difficulty logging in right now.
Okay. We're gonna come back. We'll go over another budget and come back. Okay. And then next we had ACS Chemistry Club. Is Jasmine here or someone from the chemistry club to present?
I'll present.
Okay.
Hi, I'm also here too.
Oh,
You can go ahead.
okay. So this is our spring budget. We're not having a lot of events because in-person restrictions, but we're going to be having a social event, a game night, and also a community service for writing letters to nursing homes and hospitals. But our biggest expense is going to be sending our members to the national conference. Our chapter has been selected out of 900 other chapters. We're going to be giving 2 presentations. We're also going to be presenting a poster about our club activities over the years. And there are going to be a lot of high profile and diverse scientists across many fields. So normally we don't get to take a lot of our members because it'll be out of state. But now that it's online, it's much more affordable to take more students.
Wait, if it's online, what is the expense for?
There's still a registration fee because it's going to be a lot of like speakers and events and stuff, but it's a lot lower than the normal registration fee.
Okay, makes sense.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you so much for presenting this budget. We're going to move to the breakout room to discuss, and we'll be back. And we are back. All right, 3 people. Dawn, are you here? Oh, it's Dawn. It's not Dawn.
Hello.
Yes. Would you like to present
Oh,
your budget for ordinary people?
yes. Give me 1 second, please.
Mhm. If you're speaking, we can't hear you, Dawn. Can you all hear? Okay.
No.
No, I don't think she's speaking.
Okay. We're gonna come back again because I think she might have just got kicked out. Yeah, I think she just got kicked out. So we'll come back to this. So next we have the African Student Union. Is there someone here? Let's see where.
Yes, I'm here.
It's the tie-dye event, I think.
I'm here as well.
Oh no. Wait. That's the tie-dye event, correct? Yes. Okay. Is it Eunice?
It's Eunice.
Eunice, I apologize. You can, the floor is yours.
Okay, so in a couple of weeks, we plan on having a tie dye event for our members, and obviously due to COVID, we have restrictions, so we're only allowing about 30 to 35 people, and we plan on doing it on the terrace. So we'll have multiple tables with a maximum of maybe 4 people per table, and we'll have them obviously social distance, and they will make some tie dyes with shirts that we have as an event that we plan to have. So yes.
Okay. Any questions, senators? Okay. Thank you, Eunice. We're going to move into the breakout room to have our discussion, and then we'll come back out. Alrighty. Eunice, we will email you to let you know um, what the Senate decided.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You
Have a nice
too.
day.
Next, we have ordinary people. Dawn, are you ready?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dawn Johnson. I'm the president of Ordinary People, and the budget that we've requested for this semester includes, one that's not ours.
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
Oh, I'm sorry. The first one, the expense for $100 is just for movie rights. We attempted to do one last weekend, and Ms. Godfrey informed us that there is a higher expense to get those approved by the actual production of the movie company. So that was the reason for the price for that one. For community service, it's a very small fee. It's literally just to help our members because we are paying for everything out of pocket right now. Like when we do tables in the UC, when we go out into the community, if we hand out any snacks or anything, everything comes out of pocket. So that's what you see for snacks. And then at the bottom, you see for t-shirts, we would like for people to know who we are visually. And because we work from an intimate activism framework, we would like that to represent not only on our paraphernalia, but also representation of our social media page as well. And then branding, that literally just includes things for us to pass out. If we have to pass out flyers in the neighborhood, we have to pay to get those things printed. That also includes just like little, if we could get masks made with our symbol on them, that works as well. And if you just look at the description, it's just small things that we can use for advertisement and branding so that people know who we are.
And I have a question. Can you just tell me a little bit about ordinary people? I actually don't know what it is. So
Okay, that's fine. So Ordinary People, we work with students at Xavier as well as students in neighboring schools. So I don't know if you've heard of Noble Minds Elementary School, but we tutor there. And while we tutor, we are also mentors for the students that we are with because representation is a really big issue when teaching these students specifically. We work from a framework of mental health, wellness, and self-knowledge. So when events happen, like with the Tatiana Jefferson, we hosted a Hush Hollow, which was a safe space for students to come and express their concerns, their emotions, and how to deal with instances like that. Because even though Tatiana Jefferson was a graduate from Xavier, we all know that that is not the first and the last occurrence of a situation like hers. So we work from a basis of being able to be a safe space for students, as well as that connection to the outside community. Because at Noble Minds Elementary, the school that I just mentioned, those students have family members who are passing away as well, and other family and internal issues that they have to deal with. And as students at Xavier, I feel like within those four walls, sometimes students don't get out as much. So we try to branch out and be the liaison for the community.
okay, thank you. Senators, do y'all have any questions? All righty. Well, thank you, Don. We're gonna go have our discussion, and then I'll email you tonight or tomorrow about the update for your budget.
All right, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so next on the budget list, we have the physical therapy club. Is there anyone here for representation for the physical therapy club? That's one. No? Okay, well, we're just gonna go ahead and review their budget here. So they did request $250 for club t-shirts. They have 28 active members and they are requesting, they're $10 each. So 28 times 10, that's actually 280. So I'm not sure how it's 250, but we will move into the breakout room to discuss and come back out. Alrighty, we have one more budget for the evening. We have the Foreign Language Club. Is there a representative here for the Foreign Language Club? If not, we're just going to look and see what they're requesting. They're requesting $730. They're having a Bianca Nola instructor. It's a professional dance instructor. Will teach them a 1-hour dance class. All these dances here, and it's open to the entire Xavier community. They're going to be giving out a Felipe's gift card at this event. So yeah. So since, the event is going to be online. So this event here is going to be virtual. And they're going to be giving out a Felipe's gift card since they normally give out chips and salsa. So it's kind of an incentive for people to attend. In April, they're having chips and salsa again. Oh, they're doing the same thing. Okay, it's the same thing in April. And then Phi Sigma Iota induction ceremony. So because the ceremony is going to be online, they will have to mail out all their certificates to the inductees. They have to get the stoles for their inductees and then cords for their inductees. So that's those costs. And then Rice Bowl with Catholic Relief Services. They will be partnering with Catholic Relief Services for a Rice Bowl event. They're going to be cooking and raising awareness of Lent and how Lent can help aid problems of malnutrition across the world. That's what that is. That's $50. Okay. That's their budget. So because they're not here, we're going to move to Senate discussion. So I'm going to open the breakout room. President Ucott, we have completed all of the budgets, and now we're moving on to legislation. So before that, can I have a motion to open the floor for discussion of legislation, please, senators?
I, Senator Jarvis, motion to open the floor for legislative discussion for legislation.
So moved.
Okay. President Ucott, the floor is yours for the finance reform bill.
Okay, all right. Let me go ahead and get that up. All right. Yeah. All right, so here's the proposed bill. It's called the Finance Reform Bill. So one thing that I do a lot is I'm constantly thinking about SGA, about the student body, and how can we better tailor our system to help students, right? And so I'm constantly in contact with other university SGA presidents and how they do their own systems. And so this is something that I've been in talks with Malia, Vice President Mayweather, about for months. And I've been putting it on the back burner because I wanted to make sure it was feasible. But it's become in the past couple of weeks quite apparent that we need to look at this. So I wanted to go ahead and share with you this finance reform bill and go over its content. So it says, whereas active and university-approved student organizations reserve the ability to request funding, the minutiae in the current funding process is inhibiting the Senate from fully focusing on legislative initiatives and oversight. I and the Elevate administration have created new departments and committees to provide structure and more accessibility to the student body. It's incumbent upon the executive branch to implement policies and procedures through action and enforce legislation enacted by the Student Senate. Whereas many SGAs across the country operate a funding system under the executive branch similar to the US federal government, and whereas this proposal allows the Senate to focus more on oversight of the executive branch and craft internal and external focused legislation in the best interest of the student body, therefore being enacted by the Student Government Association of Xavier University of Louisiana, that the Senate shall share the responsibility of funding consideration and decisions with the executive branch and transfer the day-to-day operations of the consideration and disbursements of funds to student organizations to the executive branch. Now, what this pretty much means is we're looking at creating a Department of Finance under the executive branch. Under the way we've structured our executive board is every executive officer has their own quote unquote department. So the vice president has a Senate, the chief of staff has the office of the SGA president, the treasurer does not have any department right now. The secretary has the Department of Communications. Mr. and Ms. Xavier both have the Royal Court, Homecoming Committee, and Springfest Committee. This year, the reason why I put this on the back burner is because I was still trying to really assess the need for it. And as we've gone through, Malia, Vice President Mayweather, Chief of Staff, Edmund and I have been in talks because we've noticed the stress on the treasurer's position, and the treasurer has opened up about that as well, and the need for there to be a better streamlined system, but also how can we best distribute funds. And so what this does here, it says, be it further enacted, the Senate shall shift responsibilities of budget hearings for smaller student organizations to the new permanent executive department, the Department of Finance, which is going to be referred to as the DOF. There shall be a permanent fund appropriated to the DOF for the DOF to allocate to student organizations. Of the money appropriated for allocation to these active student organizations, 1/3 would be permanently allocated to the DOF, and the remaining 2/3 would remain under Senate control. So if we go back to the proposed budget, right? The proposed budget says that IOC orgs have $47,043.58. 1/3 of that would be appropriated to the DOF. 2/3 would be appropriated to the Senate. Now, of that money, if the entire fund for DOF specifically is exhausted before the end of the semester, then all budget requests would shift over to the Senate. So if we have 10,000 and we allocate all 10,000 by October, then all of the requests will shift over to the Senate unless the Senate decides to appropriate funding. But we're just going to forward it over to the Senate. The DOF would hold weekly budget hearings as opposed to the Senate's bi-monthly, right? Because the Senate meets twice a month. The DOF would meet weekly. Weekly budget hearings for student organizations at a date and time decided by the treasurer, and the DOF shall be able to consider and approve budget requests at a maximum amount of 500. Any requests above 500 would be referred to the Senate for consideration. So this takes off of the back of the Senate all of those small budgets. There are organizations that come in that need the money a bit more expeditiously. And so when we were crafting this legislation, I spoke with Vice President Mayweather and Vice President-elect Ugo to see what they were thinking about this. And so we decided that 500 would be an adequate amount. The Student Senate shall still be able to conduct budget hearings during bi-monthly Senate meetings for requests over $500. And if the DOF rejects a student organization's budget request, the student organization may then petition the Senate for funding. So if the DOF says, okay, I mean, this has nothing to do with the mission of your organization, or we think this is too much money, we're going to cut it down, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, the board can say, we really want that money. We are going to pass on the DOF and ask that you refer that to the Senate. So it's similar to how we have the judicial branch and the election board, and if you want to appeal it, you go to the judicial council. Same thing for the DOF and the Senate. The point of the Senate is to deal with the larger scale issues, as y'all have been doing. So yeah, the incoming SGA Vice President has already agreed under the Elevate administration shall create a Senate Standing Committee on Finance, hereafter referred to as the committee, during the 2021 to 2022 academic year to exercise senatorial oversight of the Department of Finance. This committee would meet bi-monthly as well. Either, I think it's bi-monthly or monthly. And the SGA treasurer would, or a member of the DOF would present a report on the DOF's allocations of funds between the most recent committee, so between the last time and now. And they would present a report on that. Whether the committee is pleased or not, if you're pleased, the committee can then refer it, or if they're not, they can still refer it to the Senate for a full hearing. They would forward that letter to the full Senate and request a hearing of the SGA treasurer and the DOF. And then the bill would take effect on the day of the Gold Ball, which is like the inauguration day for the incoming administration. But all preparation planning, positions, all of that would take place before. But pretty much the integrity of this bill is to, again, empower the executive branch to do what we're supposed to do, allow the Senate to focus on oversight. The duties of the Senate is much larger than I think we have envisioned in the past couple of years. And the Senate is starting to step into that. And so that means also taking some of those shackles off, like these small weights that do not and should not be under the Senate, and other schools are not, so that they can focus on the larger scale issues on campus. And so that's kind of the intent of this bill. I yield.
Thank you, President Yukai. Senators, do y'all have any specific questions for him?
So essentially, it's like the treasurer is going to be getting a team. So she's not like, or they're not by themselves and having to do it all alone.
Yeah, so either way, like in the executive branch, we can always create an executive department. That's not, so the Department of Finance would be created to help anyway. But what we're trying to do also, not just to help with that, is to shift some of those responsibilities of the day-to-day consideration of budget hearings over to the DOF so that they have two sources to pull from. They have a smaller source of the DOF, and if you don't like what you get from the DOF or you don't get anything from the DOF, you can go to the Senate. And if it's over 500, it'll automatically be referred to the Senate. But at least now, smaller orgs, every week, they will have an opportunity to request a budget hearing. And the incoming treasurer, of course, was part of the crafting of this legislation, and she is very much on board with everything. So if this is something that would happen, we have the it will be powered appropriately. We have the infrastructure to do so.
I had a question. So like you see the third one from the bottom during the bi-monthly committee meetings, and then if you scroll up it says something about weekly budget hearings. So weekly budget, yeah, it's right at the top, weekly budget hearings. So what are y'all gonna do, like what's the difference between the bi-monthly committee meetings and the weekly budget hearings?
So the committee meetings are actually supposed to be monthly, I think, so that might have been a title there. But the committee meetings are supposed to exercise oversight. So the committee meetings are there to discuss what the DOF has been allocating for. In other universities, the way they have it is actually budget hearings. So, for example, I said um, anything above 500 would be referred to the full Senate, right? Because that's the structure we have. In at least the past 8 universities, it's the finance committee that deals with that. So what would happen actually is someone like what you've had today is where people would come in the budget, right? That's the first reading. They would have to create a budget bill for every budget y'all approve. It's really interesting. And that's the first reading on the Senate floor. It's immediately referred from the Senate floor after its reading to the Finance Committee, who will then have the first say. So they can decide, we're going to cut this down, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then send it back out to the full Senate the next time the Senate meets for a vote. And then the Senate can decide, we're going to raise it, or we're going to cut it even more. But the Finance Committee exercises a lot of authority in terms of the budget side. For our university, since we don't have that system, the Finance Committee would initially, because it's still up to the Senate how the Finance Committee would work, up to the VP, the Finance Committee would exercise oversight of the DOF. So they can decide if they come, we think you're allocating too little to this organization. We've received complaints from these people and organizations that there's an issue here. So next time you go in, if you submit another budget request next semester, we want you to allocate at least this much to this organization moving forward and appropriate that within the money you have allocated to you. Kind of like the advisors, of the DOF.
So will the DOF consist of approximately how many people?
So the DOF is going to consist of the treasurer and, as of now, 6 finance representatives. There would be 2 for class councils, 2 for the IOC, and 2 for operating budgets. So the goal of the finance representatives would be to help maintain the spreadsheets for their specific areas, but also they would assist in, how would I call it, informational seminars and workshops with their specific areas. So class councils, right, the class treasurers, they need to know kind of what's going on. So during the summer, right now, the treasurer would meet with the class treasurers and the finance representatives and get them up to date so that during the year, the finance representatives are there to help troubleshoot. Does it make sense for their specific areas? IOC, we have a lot of questions when it comes to IOC orgs and X-Connect and stuff. So instead of the stress being entirely on the SGA treasurer, there are now finance representatives that can help with that. And these 6 people would also serve in the meetings that would be budget hearings.
And then lastly, it's effective for the gold ball. So are you going to appoint them after the gold ball?
No, so preparation would take place before. So I know applications are scheduled to open this week and close next week, end of next week. So this hinges on the Senate's decision, whether that's included in this round of applications or not. We're scheduled to do 2 rounds of applications, one now and one in the summer. But we want to fill it now from what Treasurer-elect Hunter has shared. She wants to fill it ASAP so that, because we've had some meetings with fiscal services, which I can share later on, but they're going to start training us for the first time on the process, which is so great. So Treasurer-elect Hunter wants to make sure that the finance representatives, if we have this approved, are prepared before the year starts, as we try to do in SGA.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So how would you, so Or yeah, how would you conquer a problem of people just submitting like low level budgets 7 times? Like say they need $700, so they request 250 twice, and then I don't know, so that it doesn't get above 500, so that they can, like, you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like this week, how would you manage that?
So we did have limits on it, but my question would be for the Senate: do you have can organizations submit more than one budget request in a semester?
Yes.
Okay. So for us, we do it. Wait, sorry, budget request or purchase request? Because those are two. The purchase request
It's
come from the
budget
budget.
requests.
Okay, yeah.
So as the year goes on, people like smaller organizations like IOC orgs, they don't have their whole year planned out sometimes.
Yeah.
Or sometimes something comes up like with ASU, I know they didn't know they had to pay for XUPD. So then they had to come back and request more money for XUPD. So that wasn't in their original budget. So I know sometimes there's more than one budget submitted.
So what has been discussed by Vice President-elect Muna was to have a cap of some sort. He proposes either a cap of literally 500 that they can pull from, or 1,000 that an org can pull from. So that'd be 2 budget requests max, or a funding limit of 1,000. So you can submit as many as you want, but once you hit 1,000, right, you can never submit one request above 500. But once you hit 1,000, then we forward it out. We've also floated the idea of a cap of 3 budget requests for the semester, whether it is $200 or it's $50 or it's $400. We want organizations, and we're gonna do a better job in our IOC meetings of stressing the importance of planning ahead of time, so that when they come to the DOF, we understand this is a holistic budget, right? So yeah, I think the reason why we chose a cap of 3 is so that, I mean, we only plan on dispersing funds in September, October, November, and then February, March, and April, right? So that gives us enough time. 3, literally 1 per month. If you have any issues or whatever, you have 1 budget request you can pull from per month. But again, once the money runs out, it runs out. So it'll come to the Senate.
And so just to like clarify what he's saying is just that that's to the DOF. So if they are requesting, they can request 3 budgets from the DOF, and then after that they will have to come to the Senate. That's what he's saying there, just to clarify.
Yeah.
Do you all have any other questions? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. 500 and under specifically.
Yeah.
Unless, I don't know if you think that's also a good amount, but I think 500 is good.
Yeah. Do you all have any other questions?
I have a question. So could a group theoretically come by and get $1,500 from the finance committee, and then in the like 500 a month from finance, and then go to Senate for 2,000? So essentially, they can come away with $7,500 or $8,000 because they're playing both buckets. Or is it once you go to the Department of Finance, you stuck there unless you get referred out? Or can they, in theory, at the beginning of September, ask for 500 from the Finance Committee, and then 2 weeks later submit a budget for 1,000 from the Senate, then come back in October and get another 500, and then,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Everything has to be, everything will run through the DOF. So, and what that means is pretty much the DOF, the treasurer will see every request put in order to refer it to the appropriate department. So it'll either go to the DOF or it'll go to the Senate. So they'll be able to see that if they are trying to pull from different funding sources.
Also, if I could interject there, we have, I know that the senators might not know, but we have a shared Excel sheet with the treasurer right now. And so anything that we approve in the Senate, I input into the Excel sheet. And so that way we can see what organizations are allocated what. And so in that case, the Excel sheet would catch that. We would catch that we just allocated $1,000, and then wait, I see they just requested 500 there, and that can be called for a hearing, or we can note that this organization should not request any more money or funds or something like that.
And that is also where and this is where I get really excited. I know it's weird, but this is where I get excited about the finance committee, right? Where it comes to oversight. We can expand the responsibilities to include oversight of our spreadsheet. And so they would have access to viewing access to that end, which would be in our shared drive. So they can see it as well. But yes, it would be caught as well as having the DOF, the representatives who would constantly be in the spreadsheet as well, checking over, making sure the numbers add up. They'd be able to check that as well. But the treasurer would have to go into XConnect to see it, and then refer it to either the DOF or the Senate. So it would be caught. And if it's not caught there, I'm sure the finance committee would catch it as well, and it'll be caught in the spreadsheet moving forward.
What levers do you have in place? Because in the current iteration, the Senate is the allocating body, the treasurer is the reconciliation. Yes. With this moving forward, there will be two allocation bodies. What stipulations or levers do you have in place to make sure that there are not territorial issues between the vice president and the treasurer, in that both of them have the capacity to allocate, and that you mitigate issues of, well, I'm more important than you, or any type of conflict or tension that might arise, because now two executives have similar functions with regards to the budget.
So the vice president and the Senate, they have oversight of the executive branch. So the executive branch, which we do a lot, but the legislative branch oversees the executive branch, and the judicial branch oversees all of it. So when it comes to what we're doing in terms of allocation, the vice president and the Senate have higher jurisdiction, hence why they don't have a cap on the amount of money that can be allocated to the organization. Through the oversight committee, though, that's where the DOF would have to answer to that oversight committee. So when it comes to the
who is the oversight committee?
That would be the finance committee. So there'd be a Senate finance committee, and then the Department of Finance, which would be executive.
Okay.
Yeah. So that finance committee, and that's also another buffer. The vice president isn't directly involved in that committee. They can be, but it's a committee. So it'd be a group of senators who would, and the Senate chair, committee chair, who the treasurer would answer to. Also, if there are, and this is something that I hope the Senate does exercise at any point.
With the finance committee?
Sorry?
Does the VP appoint the finance committee?
Yes.
I missed the finance committee.
Yes, sir. So the VP would appoint people to all committees. Yeah. Okay. So with the DOF and with the finance committee, if the DOF is operating out of its bounds, then the Senate has full jurisdiction through that finance committee to introduce legislation to narrow its authority. That's where the Senate's powers come in, right? If we're doing things that are reckless, then the Senate needs to do something. For example, I'll give you an example. Governor Andrew Cuomo is going through some issues in New York. And so their Congress or their assembly introduced legislation to limit his emergency powers, right? And he said, because he could veto it, he said, I'll sign it. So that is where the power of the Senate comes in here, is the Senate can introduce legislation to limit powers to put checks on what we're doing, right? So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions?
So are the stipulations that you have like like the $1,000 cap or the 3-time maximum, are those things written in stone yet? Or are you guys still considering what you're going to do about that?
We are considering it, but what I would say is if this is passed, right, we would come back with an addendum to it, so that there's a supplementary bill to add on to it before the gold ball. That way, things are set in stone. We will still, if this is passed, we'll still ramp up, applications and things. But before we officially roll out with the department and the executive orders to create it, then we can put a stipulation in this bill that we would need to come back before full enactment of the department to make sure that we have the limits in place. I want to clarify with the vice president-elect and the current vice president before I just say that and set it in stone, since they will be directly over the Senate, and they have oversight on the DOF. And I want to talk to the treasurer-elect.
Would that finance committee be appointed prior to Gobal as well, or will they have someone in those conversations, since they would be oversight? Would it not make sense for them to be helping to create the parameters as opposed to being told by the people that they're going to be providing oversight of, these are the rules that we're operating within? Would it not make sense that they are the ones who set the rules that then the Department of Finance are held accountable to? I guess I'm wondering.
Yeah. So then that would mean that the current Senate, there would have to be senators who are willing to operate in a special committee, right, to oversee the implementation and the creation of this department. Because we can always, the executive board has authority to create any executive department. The issue here is that we're transferring some powers that operate under the legislative branch over. That's why there's this need of oversight for the Senate to be part of that, because this is where the Senate is involved. So that would be a conversation for the current Senate to have. So I agree with that, Ms. Wright. That's actually a very good point. The current Senate, right, would have some jurisdiction in that. So that could also be another clause added to this, right? This bill can be edited. So if such, then the current Senate would need to be involved in the parameters of the new department.
I think this is an interesting and not an idea that is certainly one that is universally accepted. I think that what I've seen in other places and what mirrors the state and federal models is that the Senate approves your budget like they did today, and then the committee does all the allocations, in the sense that they approve the budget that you set for IOC, and then the Department of Finance does all of the in the weeds. They don't really care how you spend the $103,000. They just want to make sure that this is how much money you're going to spend, and it is appropriately accounted for, which is why there then is that oversight. But so that's why I just want to make sure that you all have in place systems such that people don't feel like someone is trying to do or take their job, because it could become blurred with all of the different committees and people doing similar work, and hands on that one spreadsheet as well.
I see. Well, yeah, I see. I agree. The point is to make sure that it's allocated appropriately. But being that we are providing that limit on it, and being that the Senate does, like we're saying now, we're setting precedent with the Senate having an involved process in it. Hopefully we're hoping that will ring true throughout, that the Senate, right, has authority in this area, and we're simply being allocated a certain amount so that students can get money quicker, right? That's the goal of it. And I mean, again, the DOF is still there to help in the administrative process. What we're doing now is funding disbursement. So that's the biggest thing. And that can always be stripped from the DOF as well. It depends on how the DOF does, right? This is up to the Senate. But finance administration, which is what they'll be doing next year, that'll still be something we do to make sure we have a better process. But the funding disbursement is something we would like to include in the DOF.
Thank you, President Yukai. Are there any more questions?
I actually have a question. Can you reiterate one more time for me the appointed positions that are going to make up the DOF?
So as of now, it would be the treasurer and then 6 finance representatives, 2 for class councils, 2 for the IOC, and 2 for the operating budget.
Okay, that was it.
Yeah. Now the treasurer does can make up more positions as they see a need for, but we don't want to start out with 20 positions, so start out with where we see the need for, we have defined responsibilities where they can assist, and then work from there as we start to build this out to become a permanent executive department in SGA.
Any other questions? Concerns? If not, I'm just going to ask you to just leave so that we don't have to go back to the breakout rooms. And I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to remove Mia. So yes, and I'm going to stop recording.